I recognize that recently I put a real emphasis on this need to be distinct. And I'm absolutely convinced it's a season when God is calling those who will respond to be authentically distinct. That God literally wants to show you off. He wants to use you as an example. He wants you to be an inspiration to others. He wants you to be that demonstration of His faithfulness, His love, His power, that all of His qualities would begin to be demonstrated through you and your life. But see, authentic distinction is not us saying, oh, pay attention to me, listen to what I've learned, but rather authentic distinction is when we are different because it's God at work through us. That it's obvious, it's God's favor upon your life, God's blessings flowing to and through you, His power being released to change atmospheres, to impact situations, to bring about victories. That it ultimately, authentic distinction is ultimately not about us. That God would be showing us off because we would be that walking, talking billboard of Him, of His power, of His love, His generosity, and so on. That we would be, like the word says, that the kingdom is not mere words, but of power. Our distinction would be how obvious it is that God is with us. So I want to throw a challenge out to you to be bold and presumptuous. See, so often people believe God can, but they're not convinced He will. And I don't want to focus on necessarily skeptics that say, but rather those that secretly hope He will, but they're not convinced, that they want to be convinced rather than being bold before you see the evidence. And so why am I saying to be bold and presumptuous? God gives us all these promises, and it's up to us to lay claim of them. I just this week recorded a conversation with my friend Gary, who has this beautiful condo in Florida, high-rise building, beautiful view. And he's invited my wife and I to come stay with him. And as we talked about in this conversation, that the offer is there, that commitment is there on his part. Now it's my responsibility to respond to that. That it's not his responsibility to continually remind me, hey, this offer is sitting here waiting for you to grab it. And it's a good demonstration of God's promises. So here's what I mean by being bold and presumptuous. I want you to risk your comfort zone. I want you to risk being embarrassed. But what I want you to do is I want you to pick one challenge in your life, whether it's in your work environment, your business, your family, whatever you want to. Pick one, write the date down, pick one challenge that you want to see God at work in and through. And then what I want you to do is I want you to ask the Holy Spirit to lead you, to guide you to a promise that addresses that situation. Whatever that promise may be, that it would speak to your heart that this is God's empowerment to bring about a transformation. That you would ask the Holy Spirit, because it's the Holy Spirit who guides us into all truth. It's the Holy Spirit that shows us those tools for our victory. That you'd ask Him to guide you to show you that promise that addresses the situation that you're using to demonstrate God's power, to demonstrate God's faithfulness. And then when He shows it to, when you see that promise, rather than letting the skeptic kick in, the one that says, well, is this really the Holy Spirit? I want you to be bold and presumptuous to claim that promise of victory, that promise of blessing, overflow, and so on. Be bold in claiming it. And then, as we've talked about so often, make it your own. Personalize it. Put it in the first person that it is your gift from God, and continue to speak that over your life. Believe that, pray that, and so on. I'll give you a good example. You know, I was asking the Holy Spirit not too long ago for my boys. But I did a funny thing. I asked the Holy Spirit what to pray for my boys. And the reason is because if the Holy Spirit showed me what to pray for them, then I could have the confidence that what He wanted for them. And what I got was that the Holy Spirit wanted them to grow up, to mature into positions, strategic positions, to have a strategic impact on His kingdom. Now, I don't know exactly what that means, but I now pray that. I claim that particular, while that's not out of the Bible, I think it aligns with the Bible. I claim that boldly, and I'm looking expectantly to see that happen. Be bold and presumptuous. Put God to the test. Find that situation, whatever it may be, where you want a greater outcome, you want victory, you want success, whatever it is. You want healing, you want restoration. Whatever that one, just focus on one. Let's build our confidence by taking that one, focusing on that, getting the Holy Spirit to give us a promise, and then standing on that promise until we see the result. And the byproduct of that will be this increasing distinction that in a world that is struggling to cling to actually find truth and reality, when everything is an illusion and a deception, that increasingly that boldness, that presumption upon God would be an increasing distinction in your life. And a byproduct of that would be, the ripple effect would be that increasingly God would draw people's attention. He would literally be saying in the spirit realm, hey, have you noticed my servant? Have you noticed my favor on their life? Have you noticed my blessings flowing through them? That you would have that authentic distinctiveness that demonstrates the reality, the loyalty, the faithfulness, and the love of the living God.